worth as much, Herald is not worth as much, is that the top side of the map is often just kind of left to the wayside.
Yeah, absolutely here. And yeah, you kind of called it out. I mean, I think the jungle meta has kind of been the most static of all the positions so far this season. It's your Jarvans, it's your Wukongs, it's your Xin Zhaos, Jace and Malphite, kind of the new faces around there. Vi is still in the mix, and those have really been kind of the priority across the board. Croco in particular, I think, has been making a big tear on the picks like the Xin Zhao and the Jarvan. Something to keep note of is Grizzly has not been a Xin Zhao guy. He has played no games of it so far. Well, this might be his first if he snaps it on up. All right, there we go. Grizzly.
Good call out.
Yeah, just call me out right here, right now. Congratulations.
Well, the Xin Zhao Orianna, I mean, this is the most 2026 start you can have to a draft. The Azir Orianna trade, Bruiser junglers, the Jarvan taking it away from the combo. Here's a blind Renekton, so it's probably going to be like maybe a Gnar, could be a Jax, could be some of the tanks, you know, the Scion, the Ornn, but it is going to be the Gnar. So this is very, very standard drafts from what we've been seeing early in the year. Support and ADC left to the side. The thing that's kind of catching my eye here is that the Yunara is still available. I think that both comps here do benefit from that. And the engaged supports have been very highly prioritized across multiple regions. The Braum has been also getting a bit of play, but a lot of the Rel, a lot of Rakan, and a lot of Alistar.
Yeah, definitely been some big priority picks in the bottom lane for both of these squads, and not expecting to see too big of differences here. I haven't really liked Missing's Enchanter play when he has gotten the chance to go for it. His Lulu, his Renata have both been real highlights so far, and he and 1xN have been one of the most lane-dominant bot lanes we have in the LPL over the course of the season. You know, they've really been beaten up on some of these other group Nirvana bottom lanes. Hena and XiaoXia, no exception here, but they're going to have their work cut out for them trying to play up against this duo, and you can already see taking the Bard off the table here, going to be trying to limit what some of Missing's options are going to be. He's lost his Nico and his Poppy as well here. He's been willing to play both of them. Ultra Prime in particular, not been big fans of that Poppy. They ban it more than just about anybody else in the league, and they're going to keep that one up facing off against Missing, or even Croco, who could pick it up and take it into the jungle. The Ashe ban also kind of trying to attack some of that new hotness, the Ashe Seraphine duo, which has really started to pick on 26-2 so far. Now going to not be an option for Hena and XiaoXia as kind of a little bit of an easier mode to play in the bottom lane. 1xN hovering that Yunara, been one of his best champs. I think they're going to be very happy to snap this one up.
Yeah, I like the Ashe ban. You know, you don't have to ban both in the combo. The Ashe is, I guess that they're both kind of enabling to each other, but the Ashe passive is really what enables the Seraphine in that matchup. So Ashe can be played with other things, Ashe Braum as well. So taking with the Ashe, nice little play here. And the Yunara pick, this is what I was talking about with the 80 carry picks here. Is it just going to be an Aphelios Thresh and maybe a Yunara, like a Rel or a Rakan, those engaged supports that I was talking about before? Another hook champion. Okay, this does make sense too. So for both of these teams, they've got a ton of late game damage, right? They've got Azir Orianna on both sides. Then they've got the Yunara and the Aphelios. Aphelios has been a counter into the Yunara rising up a little bit, and the Aphelios prior on its own has been rising up too. But I kind of like the Ultra Prime draft better. I'm not a huge fan of Azir Jarvan together. I feel like it's a little awkward. There is setup from the Jarvan to help Azir do damage, but for the most part, it's more of just like we do good teamfight damage stat space, but you've got the Xin Zhao Orianna, which is a great combo. You have the ball delivery. You've got Renekton, who is going to lose lane, but I prefer Renekton in teamfights, to be honest. I think that Nara is a lot harder in teamfights to play. And I'm a massive Aphelios fan. I think that Aphelios Thresh has been doing a ton of work. For LNG, they have superior side lane with the Gnar and the Azir. So left alone in the side lanes, these side laners, Xia and BuLLDog, can do massive work to the towers, develop a gold lead for themselves. But in these 5v5 teamfights, I don't know. I think that Saber and Hena are going to have a great game, sure, but I love this draft.
Definitely. I'm excited to see Hena's Aphelios back. It's a pick that he hasn't gone for this year yet, but it's historically his most played champion overall, back when he was on like Breon and like 2022, 2023, those sorts of LCK teams, this was his bread and butter. He would go for this basically every game that he could. Remember, this is pre-Fearless, so he could go for this game in, game out, whole series long, and he did. He played a lot of games with the Aphelios earlier in his career, has kind of let it fall by the wayside, even as it's come back into the meta this season. Obviously, in 2025, basically nobody was playing the Aphelios anymore. But I'm excited to see him bust it out here, you know, as this first split is coming to an end, and maybe he can perform on it and, again, give another sort of angle for Ultra Prime to be excited about coming into the spring split. Certainly going to need to up against this opponent.
Got some gyos. A little quiet. But we can hear them. Good to hear. Sometimes the gyos for Group Nirvana, not as high as, you know, I would love to hear, but I think for these junglers, priority should be down towards the bot lane, the Jarvan and the Zin's out. But taking a look at where these both have started, Gordo, got Jarvan on the bot side clearing up and Zin's on the top side clearing down.
Yeah, the mirrored starts here, so clearly a interest in visiting up on the top side, perhaps, or just an interest in avoiding that Xinjiao for potentially a fight over the first scuttler here, as Missing and 1xN already starting to get aggressive in that bottom lane, showing what has been a big part of their play style. And, you know, if you can collapse that range up against Calibrum, then you're not going to end up quite as bullied by it from the Aphelios. That range advantage does usually give him a little bit of grace in the earliest levels of the laning phase, but trying to crash in this wave, they're the first ones to hit level 2. So far, so good for 1xN and Missing.
It's always nice to see an Alistar get level 1 priority because of their ADC, because Alistar is such an awful level 1 champion, can't do anything. Like, some of the champions that Alistar can do well into level 1 is like Rel, maybe a Rakan if you go headbutt first and deny that engage. But in terms of setting the pace in a lane, normally can't do anything. But Aphelios is also a champion that's really bad level 1, doesn't even have an ability at level 1. So 1xN getting the push, but on the bounce now, Ultra Prime getting some push back of their own. Nice little shout out. I don't know if you saw that lower third there. If you, not this one, but if you have seen the Galio skin, I don't know if anyone's been playing that skin specifically in the LPL, but that skin is mint.
Yeah, it's a pretty sick one. I think I saw, was it, you know, this is why you don't do memory recall live on cast. I want to say it was Knight that I saw playing it. Somebody in Group Ascend played it like last night, and I was watching the VOD this morning.
I think it was Knight.
Yeah, I mean, this morning was a lifetime ago at this point, but I think Knight is going to be my guess. I'm locking it in.
I mean, the two things you can't do on cast are try to remember things from the past, because that's never going to happen, and you can't do math on cast either, because you're going to get it wrong no matter what. That's like the hidden passives of doing things on cast. But Croco, there is a ward here, but he's up top early. Might take a base. Oh, Liangchen just dashed in.
Yep, that's slice and dice used, and Croco going to be ready to collapse. LNG looking to get themselves on the board early. Liangchen flashes away, but Flag and Drag was held by Croco the whole way through. Sheer flashes after him. First blood to Croco.
I think Croco might have flashed on the spot. Maybe I didn't see that correctly, but still a really good gank. Liangchen overplaying his hand in the top lane. We'll give nice little first blood here over to Croco. Grizzly will be able to cancel this base, and there's a TP coming from this Crocodile.
Yeah, Sheer going to get Wind Becomes Lightning here, and I don't think he's getting out of this one. Yeah, Grizzly going to be able to equalize, so both of these teams' junglers going to start off with that extra bit of gold, but the first blood does matter in 2026.
Thank God.
Get hooked in for a little bit of harass.
I'm a fan of that coming back. It always feels bad. I mean, to be fair, it's kind of a good thing for me because I die for first blood all the time. So being like, it's okay, guys. It's not first blood anymore. But for pro, I do like having that first blood meaning more. So I got to take, you know, can't have my cake and eat it too. But really nice answer by Grizzly up in the top lane. It'll basically mean that Liangchen can push the wave even up the CS. So we'll be fine with a little lead. The assist will mean that Sheer has 60 gold lead, and I mean, massive, huge gold lead. And then will even up the jungle lead to at 75, also very impactful.
Yeah, definitely. Did see culls picked up for both marksmen in this bottom lane, so despite their aggressive playstyle, 1xN and Missing, embracing that they may be a little bit outranged for this early stage, and maybe not going to be getting those big moves in the 2 versus 2. Of course, Croco also pathing towards top, meaning that they're not going to get that jungle support either. More interested in just trying to farm out this lane for a little bit longer. It does look like that second scuttle going to be spawning. I guess it's third scuttle, technically, but that second spawn of scuttle appearing in the bottom side, that's what's so prized by so many junglers, and Grizzly's going to be the one ready to claim it.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about before. When that scuttle spawns, red side has better access to it. So Grizzly will, pardon me, hit level 6 off of this scuttle grab. And, I mean, Xin Zhao level 6 is not the, like, best send button. It's a much better team fighting tool if you want to try to get this dragon. And Ultra Prime do have the push, so it is an option to try to do the Drake, but Croco is around, can not only use that control wall, but has the flag to check vision. Croco is down a level here, remember, but Ultra Prime is moving from bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, Ultra Prime have the faster move in bottom lane. They have the level advantage on their jungler. BuLLDog being closer is maybe the one thing that LNG have going for him, that it's not going to be enough. This dragon going the way of Ultra Prime, and they are rewarded for their side selection somewhat here. The fact that they are on the red side, giving them a nice, easy time to be able to get over here, show up to the dragon fight, get that level 6 first. All looking plenty good for Mr. Grizzly. He does find himself not ahead in gold, but getting his team ahead in position.
Teams are, you know, finding value out of it. I'm still not sure exactly how I feel, because the benefit is what we've just seen, and it will be continuous drakes, but the thing is that you do need to have priority in lanes. You can't just take red side and get Drake. That's not how it works. You do need to have priority, and Ultra Prime have been holding that for a while now. As Hena, that's a pretty massive chunk to 1xN.
Let's go, Hena, showing up on his classic Aphelios here, an early Moonlight Vigil to get that nice trade up into 1xN, and does have the level lead as well. 1xN trying to clear out minions, maybe close to that level 6, trying to get it for Missing as well. He needs Unbreakable Will because he's breaking pretty easy right now. And LNG, they still don't reach it even after clearing out the whole wave. They've just got to bail, and XiaoXia might be able to show up here and interrupt the recall of Missing.
Missing had to use the Ghost as well, so if he hadn't swapped over to that, there is definitely a world in which Ultra Prime could have gotten a 2v2 kill in bot lane.
Oh,
XiaoXia being an absolute rat here, trying to cancel another base, but won't be able to do so. Very nice aggressive play from the bot lane of Ultra Prime. A 500 gold lead for Hena. Up stacks of Cull as well, so we'll be able to hit that a little bit earlier if the trajectory continues forward. Croco clearing up to the grubs, and with the top lane prior that Nara affords, should be able to take those, but Ultra Prime, finding fight back in this bot lane.
Yeah, great start for them in the bottom lane. It's about a 500 gold lead to Hena individually, and that's with both of them having the Cull, so Cull not even really the contributor there. But LNG do have control over the top side still from their earlier game efforts. They've got that same kind of gold lead on Sheer, and it should let them pick up all 3 grubs without any contest. Grizzly, in fact, just going to try to show up and bully 1xN while Alistair's up top lane, and it's working out pretty well for him. He's even got the ward in advance, but good dodge from 1xN. Has to use the ultimate, transcend himself to get out of there, and now he gets hit by a hook, getting over-aggressive, trying to poke away at Grizzly. Doesn't lose too much for it, but still can't access the minions at his own turret. They're just dying.
Yeah, what a really nice play by Ultra Prime. So LNG are going for the grubs on the top side of the map, but Missing rotated up, and Ultra Prime are continuing to put pressure on this bot lane. Croco is here, but there is a lot of damage on Ultra Prime right now. They've got CC with the Gravitum. Moonlight Vigil is available again. If anyone walks in to check here.
Oh, 1xN does still have the flash, disciplined in its use earlier. Will be able to keep himself alive. Missing going to have to pop the Unbreakable Will. But things just keep going wrong for this bottom lane of LNG, and it goes from bad to worse again, as now they're going to lose more turret plates. They're going to struggle once again to be able to farm up this wave, but they've got Croco in their back pocket.
Yeah, 1xN, no flash, no cleanse, so This next Drake already feels kind of done for Ultra Prime. They continue to have pressure in bot lane through the wave. Saber is going to have priority for the most part in mid until a little bit later. And then they've got that red side, right? We were talking about this earlier. Access to the Dragon Pit is a little bit easy. Oh, sorry, easier. The good news for LNG is that they were able to get 3 grubs to themselves, and the benefit of their comp in the mid game is this side lane, is the Na and the Azir when he's in a side lane. So when these bot laners do rotate into mid, and the mid laners go to a side lane, the grubs with Azir, Na, should be able to chew through the towers pretty easily, get a gold lead on the individual members, and then rotate over to a fight. The bad news for that is you might be down 2, maybe even 3 Drakes at that point.
Yeah, definitely. Ultra Prime in a solid position in this early stage, despite not actually taking the total gold lead. Sheer really bullying Liangchen up here, and I mean, that's been a rough situation for Ultra Prime in a lot of their games. They just do not put resources into Liangchen. About as few as anybody in the league. His gold share on top lane, very, very, very low. I believe he is number 14 of 14 for gold percent among top laners, and this is kind of why, right? Grizzly showed up to clean up a kill earlier, but Liangchen doesn't even get the assist gold, and he's not getting any further support either, so Sheer is just going to continue to bully him, and Sheer is up almost 1k individually. Does look like Ultra Prime going to be able to claim this dragon as predicted, though. Not many options for LNG to be able to contest for it.
Maybe Croco can look for a steal. He does have equal smite and is walking in here.
Oh, hooked though. That does put him closer to the dragon, but maybe more than he bargained for. He is able to steal it away. Croco equalizes the dragon count, and 1xN just firing away. Dashes forward, but has Grizzly on top of him. He's going to pay for that as he drops down first of the fight, but they are able to trade back onto the Thresh. Knockup finds its way onto Grizzly, and he's stuck in a 1 versus 3 as BuLLDog will look to clean up the kill. The credit goes to Croco. 2 to Croco and the Dragon. LNG find a win out of nowhere on their losing side of the map.
Well, just about everything went wrong for Ultra Prime there. That was a bit of a tough watch, and if we get a replay, it's going to be a tougher second watch as well. Okay, so Ultra Prime have priority on the Drake, and they hook Croco and then fight him and let him steal. No, 1xN is not hitting the Drake. It just goes down to 1k, but don't look Shockwave here. It goes, the ball goes onto Hena, and he flashes over the wall, and the Shockwave goes onto nobody. So, yeah, Ultra Prime played that about as badly as they possibly could have, and LNG, despite having almost no say in that fight at all, win the fight, 1,000 gold lead, and even the Drake's up.
I don't think that's Hena's fault, Jbetto. I don't think Aphelios is a very good ball carrier for these Orianna compositions. I agree. And yeah, so my man's got to get out of there. He's got a gold lead to think about preserving, and that costs him big time in that battle.
Flash in there, bad guns, just allow your mid laner to get Shockwave off, and then when that doesn't work, you say, well, I followed the call, bro.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's a rough position for sure. 1xN doesn't end up picking up too much additional gold, so Hena does still find himself an individual lead. He and XiaoXia doing a great job in this bottom lane with the additional support they've gotten from Grizzly, but that dragon stacking plan now falling a little bit by the wayside, thanks to LNG being able to equalize the score. And I know I've said earlier on that LNG are not just, picking up things handed to them by the Group Nirvana teams. This game may be the exception to that. They were handed that a little bit.
Yeah, they were. I'm still very distracted by that play. I can't lie, Gordo. It did hurt me a little bit.
Gotta snap out of it, brother.
I gotta hang on. All right, I'm locked back in. Infernal Soul, that's fun. I've been having too many Chemtech Souls. Infernal Soul is a good one, and it's great for Ultra Prime. Like, even though they played that bad fight, Hena has 1.2k gold lead. He didn't die. That's great. 1xN didn't get off to a massive tear there and chew through everybody. But the problem is, for Ultra Prime, that team fight is kind of indicative of what we've been seeing this season. This season is so team fight dependent. The entire game is on how you team fight, how well you team fight. I mean, take a look at what's happening in the LCK with that T1 KT series or any lost returns game where they just can't play the early game very well, and yes, teams make mistakes, but the team fights are so important that you just can win at such a massive gold disparity if you are that much better at team fighting, if the opponent makes a mistake, if they over push, and we've been seeing a lot of that. So for Ultra Prime, they do have good news here, but this is not.
Ooh, all right. Croco not really respecting the ability to pull out Hena from that dark passage, and he's going to pay for it. Good damage returned by Hena. XiaoXia flashes forward looking for the death sentence, does not find it. The 1xN taking some damage from Grizzly on the opposite side, so Ultra Prime absorb that play. Croco committing ultimate for it. Will not end up finding a kill.
1xN only has to cleanse, but the shockwave was used. BuLLDog got a dash away from there. Missing's around. Looks like LNG don't want to give this Herald up without a fight, but I don't know if that's
resources.
Well advised. Yeah, it's heaping in from both top laners.
All right, let's see. Liangchen going to be the first target here, able to dash back to the rest of his team. Rift Herald goes down. Grizzly picks it up. LNG just playing for the fight now, and I don't think they're going to find the fight. Instead, they have an inside track on a mid lane. They can get some more plates into 1xN. Not a bad place to put them, but successful Rift Herald take for Ultra Prime.
I really don't know what the idea here for LNG is. They posture as if they're going to contest, which is not necessarily a bad thing. You know, using the tempo that you've got while enemy does Herald to basically put some pressure, force that TP up, you know, from Renekton. Could have been nice. And make Ultra Prime sweat a little bit, make them base a little bit further back, help your lane. Is that the problem is that everyone from LNG showed up too. Both Xia and Liangchen TP'd up. So Nah doesn't have TP for this side lane. This matchup is very playable.
Wow, Sheer just taking it to Liangchen here. He's going to look for the dive. The boulder just barely misses Renekton's tail. Sheer just barely doesn't get that kill, but gonna force out his lane opponent. Still feels plenty good as Ultra Prime start up their next dragon. LNG with a few folks in the area. Does look like they're going to try to contest here. Mid laners duking it out on the bottom side as Croco and Missing try to create space. Step up to the dragon. Croco is here. Now Grizzly a little bit outmanned and outgunned. It's going to be a secure on the dragon. It goes over to 1xN of all people, but Hena kills off Missing on the top side. It's now a dragon lead to LNG as they're just going to try to get out of here. XiaoXia continues to magnetize these onto 1xN, but he's got the backup of Croco. Grizzly taking way too much damage. XiaoXia going to take it instead as 1xN picks up a kill. Hena turning it back, though, with the Infernum. Flashes forward. One or two more shots would put Croco in the dirt, but Croco able to hold on.
This is the last match that both these teams will play, and they are playing like it, Gordo. They know this match means nothing for standings. Just limit test. Just fight all the time. Really nice secure from 1xN, I guess, but Saber had the orb, had Shockwave the whole time. It was on Grizzly, and then he flashed away. This time, Saber doesn't press R, but I haven't really been impressed by this Orianna so far. It has so much impact in team fights, and so the orb goes here onto Grizzly. He gets really chunked, so he gets smited down to what? 38, and then Grizzly has to get away. Has to dash back to his team and kill Missing. But the Shockwave doesn't really get any value there. It wasn't used at all. And then LNG could have just got this one kill and been fine. They kill XiaoXia. They're definitely out right now. Croco has flash. But instead they go forward. 1xN gets hit by the Infernum Moonlight Vigil and is unfortunately taken down at the back end of that. But it is still 3,000 gold lead for LNG. 2 Drakes for them as well. Infernal Soul is a massive soul, especially if you're able to get 3 Infernal Drakes. That much extra damage on an Azir, on a Yunara, and for Ultra Prime on their carries as well would be really nice, but nice hook. Won't result in a whole lot here. But I mean, Ultra Prime are using their red side Gordo really well, like we've been talking about. They have priority around their Drakes, but they just can't pull the fights out.
They cannot, and this is happening without top laner involvement for the most part too. Sheer just absolutely pummeling Liangchen up in the top side. A 2.5k gold lead to him. Once he arrives as 2-item Gnar against 1-item Renekton, it's going to make these team fights even tougher for Ultra Primes. They really need to start winning them while they're 4v4s, and so far have not been able to pull those out. Croco, an aggressive into Ultra Prime's jungle. XiaoXia Going to get pushed back away by the blast cone as they're just trying to get 1xN a pathway to hit this turret. Hena waiting to try to clear the wave on the opposite side. Croco dives forward, gets a knock up onto Grizzly, but there's no damage here. BuLLDog comes in on the flank. They're going to turn it all back onto Saber, and he's one-shot Hena, duking it out with 1xN. Hena going to end up winning that one out, but now the rest of the team fight breaks out. The top laner's getting involved. Sheer immediately going to Gnar, two of them back into the wall. Croco in the front line. Hook connects on a mini Gnar, but Sheer not taking too much damage, going to be able to continue to proc hyper, flashes forward, looking for Liangchen, and BuLLDog will be the one to finish him up. Back over the wall goes Croco, trying to complete the ace, but XiaoXia will stay alive. Nonetheless, it's a 4-for-2 team fight. LNG come out on top once again.
Your support dies, sure. 1xN fights the 1v1 and loses, but basically trades 1-for-1. Other than that, LNG play that so well. So Saber is first on the roam, but this is why Azir out of that mid lane is so valuable. He catches Saber by himself, and again, the shockwave is completely wasted. It's not used at all. This is a really fun, like, the season's over 1v1 me in mid kind of ADC duel. And Missing does end up falling for being the front line of his team, but LNG have so much damage here with the Azir, and because Hena's 1 HP, he can't fight with the Crescendums very well. Croco goes in, takes him down. LNG feel very confident with their gold lead, which is now nearly 6,000 gold. There's 40 seconds until this next strike, and Gordo, I don't think Ultra Prime is going to have that red side prior anymore.
And Jbetto, 3 bad team fights I think is enough for me. If you're an Ultra Prime fan, I sure hope you chose the vacation path, because I'm still Saber path.
I'm praying.
You're going to be praying for game number 2, buddy, because Saber's not putting it together here so far, and now he's down 6K. I think opportunities are dwindling for the Ultra Prime squad. We'll see if they can put together some miracle team fights with Hena at the back. Hena going to have to be the main focus for this game, and if they pull it back, it's going to be on this guy's shoulders. Playing out these fights pretty well, one another one-on-one with 1xN in the previous fight, and now getting an opportunity to fire away at Croco, who has a pick onto Grizzly. Dark Passage pulls him out to safety after he blows that Crescent Guard.
All right, hear me out. Hena 1v1 to 1xN, so we're gonna have that every time. I'm not gonna pay attention to Liangchen getting absolutely destroyed in the top lane. Hena is going to 1v1 1xN every fight, and it's going to be won by Aphelios because it's a counter. And then Saber is going to hit a 4-man shockwave, and he's got 2 items now. Shadow Flame does damage, and that's going to be the fight, right? Ultra Prime can find that fight, and even though they're down Infernal Soul Point now and have absolutely no prior or vision on the map whatsoever, they can get a Baron after that and maybe make a comeback.
That's the goal. That's the game plan at this stage. You do have your Infinity Edge completed on the Aphelios. That burst damage is going to be impressive with what you bring from Moonlight Vigil, and you can carry out the team fight from there, especially if you're using red and white guns. If you can get your Crescendum out there, kind of substituting for attack speed. There are pathways to be able to win fights through Hena. But Ultra Prime going to need to execute on the team fights to be able to make them happen. Can still use the Orianna ult for utility if you manage to land it. Let's see what they can do around this top side as the Baron is ripe for the taking. Pretty early for a 2026 Baron, but LNG are far enough ahead and they have Azir. They might just take some interest in it.
I think, on a serious note, they are waiting for this Rabadons on BuLLDog, and that might just be the coffin for this game. Infinity Edge for 1xN would be nice, but BuLLDog's up 2,000 gold. Getting that death cap online, he's 7 stacks Dark Seal. I don't think that anyone actually has enough damage to stop this Azir. There's not really enough gap close either. I like to talk about this quite a bit. I think it's an interesting discussion. I know that LS talks a lot about the Enchanter/Enchanterless Zinzao. I don't know how I feel necessarily about that all the time, but this is a game where I feel like because there's not a ton of engage and Zinzao is the primary engage, he kind of does need an Enchanter to help him get going in this game. Croco
sees an angle on towards Hena, does throw down the Cataclysm. Hena now going to get caught, shuffled back by BuLLDog, and one shot by 1xN. 1XN. LNG find their way onto the most relevant carry, and they snap this team fight shut. It's a double kill to 1XN, a triple kill to 1XN, and LNG gonna use these death timers to break open the base.
Oh, Saber. Oh, I gotta close my eyes, man. This is painful to watch. That one was brutal. The shockwave didn't really land, do enough damage at all. And I think that LNG are just way too far ahead. This is before Rabadon's Infinity Edge has been completed as well. And 1XN just got a ton of gold from that fight. So the fights are going to be even more impossible from this point onwards. But the good news for LNG is they are super coordinated. There was a little bit of awkwardness in the beginning of this game, losing Dragon priority, but they found a way back in. They broke the hold. Really nice from Missing and BuLLDog linking up here. See, the shockwave hits BuLLDog. It does about 300 damage to him, and he's full squishy one-shot Azir. He has no health at all, and does absolutely nothing to him. LNG are simply too far ahead.
Oh, are they really too far ahead? Here's the real test. Croco just chucking away his Guardian Angel for nothing. But here comes the follow-up team fight. Maybe it'll be worth it at the end of the day. Missing, charging forward in the absence of his jungler. Shockwave connects on it too. For what? For no purpose at all, as the Gnar into the wall from 2 into the Cataclysm of Croco will claim 2 more lives. Hena finally able to get one back, but here's 1XN launching himself into the fray. He will drop down for it, but Sheer and BuLLDog can finish off the fight. LNG come up with another team fight win, ace for 3, and this one might be enough to march on the fountain.
Croco has had an amazing game 1, but that was the most I want to play for clips fight I've ever seen from a player in my life. He just gives away his GA, but BuLLDog has the Rabadons. He's the sole damage dealer remaining, and it will be enough. LNG winning a very convincing first game after small stumbles in the early game will stabilize. And Ultra Prime, will they be able to win one game in this series, Gordo? There were good signs in that early game, but LNG looked by far the superior team.
Yeah, I mean, they would be the first team other than LGD to do it all season long if they were to win a game up against LNG. So far, LGD, the only ones that we have seen able to take a game off of this LNG squad. And, I mean, what a great game there from BuLLDog in particular. I want to highlight this guy's Azir play. He was making picks on towards Saber in some of those early kind of skirmishes, zoning him off of the play, getting some of these engages off to start fights on good terms. Found that big pick onto Hena at the end to close out the game. I think this guy's gotten overshadowed in the mid-jungle duo by Croco all season long, but that was a nifty little Azir game. I'm hoping he gets a little bit of player of the game honors for that one.
But Croco had a pretty good game too. I could see the BuLLDog angle. He did play really well. Wasn't any mistakes. I think that you're talking about earlier. I mean, Croco just drives this team forward so well. That's true for a lot of our teams in the LPL. A lot of the junglers end up pushing the team forward with the support as a support, right? Supporting their team, supporting their jungler. But I think that Croco is incredibly aggressive. You can see that he comes from the Rise group from the LPL, and BuLLDog the same. They bring in some of that fun over here, that scrappy game that the LPL is known for. For LNG, this is a team that I want to see up against the teams in Group Perseverance, up against the teams in Group Ascend, hopefully, and they continue to look really fun.
They look really fun. I'm going to be honest, I think they were slacking on the early game a little bit this game.
A little bit.
I've come to, especially 1XN and Missing, I've come to associate with lane dominance. It was not a lane dominant game for them. It wasn't set up to be a lane dominant game for them. Their junglers pathing away. They're getting ganked over and over again by the likes of Grizzly. And I think that's a pretty solid game plan for Ultra Prime to try to play through. They get Hena ahead. I think that's all fine and dandy. It's just 2 dragon fights in a row that they start and can't finish. They do not win the follow-up team fight. They don't even manage to secure the dragon. They get outsmited once by Croco, once by 1XN on like one item Yunara. That's not really acceptable. And then they end up not really being able to play towards their win con for that reason. You know, you imagine an alternate world where they pick up that second and third dragon, and then they can try to flip soul or something and try to pull this one back in, even if they take some of those poor fights that they ended up taking this game. No dice this time around, and man, did Sheer just take Liangchen entirely out of the game. That's what Ultra Prime give up to be able to play towards that bottom side so aggressively.
I think this is the second time. I haven't watched every game, but there was, I think it was a Bin versus 369 game where this matchup was played. I can't remember who won that, like who was playing the Na of that, but it looked almost exactly the same. And I remember saying on that cast that, oh, it can be a skill matchup. And then Alk had DM'd me or messaged me and was like, Jack, you just got to tell him how it is. It's don't be nice. It is a really tough matchup. And it is, right? Like, we see what happens in here. It has been continuously like that. I would love if this would stop Blind Renekton, because Blind Renekton, when Rumble is banned, has been kind of a trump card. Like, no one can beat it. Just play a tank and, like, lose the game slowly. If Gnar is the answer and players can continue to play it, that would be great. But my biggest concern for this game is Saber on this Orianna. I'm always going to be a glass is half full kind of guy. I love, give me as much hopium as possible. I'm praying for Saber to show up, but this was a game where Orianna is not necessarily the most difficult champion to execute on, and I don't think there was a combo in the early game once. The shockwaves only started to hit when the game was almost completely done, like a 95% done situation was when the shockwaves started to hit. That's frankly not good enough for an Orianna in a game like this.
No, not at all. And I mean, it's a matchup, right? The reason you blind pick the Orianna when these two staple mages are up in the mid lane is because it's supposed to be good into the Azir. Yeah, it's not like it's no Gnar and Renekton. But it's like, 55-45, 60-40, whatever you want to call it. It's a solid matchup for the Orianna. You should be able to get through that laning phase, at least even, if not ahead. Should be able to, get some amount of pressure on towards the Azir, to be able to play with your jungler. It's nice, like you called out earlier, to have a little enchantery duo for your Xin Zhao with his early game brawling power, and we just didn't see any of that.
Yeah, the Orianna should have lane dominance. Azir really suffers into range, which Orianna has a pretty decent amount of. If Saber and Ultra Prime had been able to use that into transitioning into their priority around the Drakes and their dominance in bot lane, that could have been a really good formula for making this game a lot harder for LNG. But the second Drake goes over, then the third Drake goes over as well, because LNG just continuously fight for map pressure, and they found a ton of map pressure. So for Ultra Prime, I do like the second pick take. Go for, bot lane, a good bot lane matchup. But try to get your team around there more. We saw a really great dive behind LNG's bot lane turret where they took out multiple waves, zoned both both 1xn and missing away from the turret, lost farm, and then that was kind of it. We never saw it again. So for Ultra Prime, that seems to be a good little weakness, and maybe, for Thunder Talk and other teams to look at LNG too if they can draft a really good winning bot lane. But for this series ahead, I think Ultra Prime need to look back at that early game and say, how can we push that further?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, just being able to secure the objectives would definitely do a decent chunk of it, but it's also got to be the execution around the team fights. I do think a big deciding factor in a lot of those was BuLLDog getting his way on towards Saber over and over and over again. The player of the game does go the way to Croco. I do think that puts him at the top of the player of the game leaderboard. Once again, I'm citing stuff on cast without actually having the research right in front of me, but I recall him being like one game back. I'll double check that for all of you as soon as I get the opportunity. Okay, no, never mind. He was Knight is in the lead there at 8. This will put Croco at 6. So
he's
not quite topping, but tying for second with this one.
Very nice. I think that Croco is the best player on this team, or has been the best performing player on this team at least. He constantly drives his team forward. We're talking about before. And I'm super excited to see this roster play against other teams. I'm going to keep saying this because they have been kind of just fighting shadows down here in, you know, it's like, okay, I don't watch a ton of UFC, but it's like, you know, like you got to pad your record a little bit by fighting people who aren't that great. And LNG 5-0 in sets, looking at 6-0. It's time to see them against some other people.
Absolutely is, but they got one more game at least up against Ultra Prime and in this group Nirvana before they're able to do it. If they dropped Ultra Prime, then they got 2 more games left in Nirvana before they are destined to start playing out of it. We are going to throw to a quick break here before we get into draft for game number 2. But first things first, if you'd like to support LPL English, consider becoming a Coffee member. Coffee is the best way to support the LPL English project since the vast majority of your contributions will go directly to the show. A lot of the initial payments go into upgrading the broadcast, but a huge bulk of it pays on-air talent and content creators. Subscribe to our Coffee, linked in the chat, to unlock perks like early access to content and the ability to ask interview questions for our unique on-site interviews. Thank you to all who subscribe already, and encouragement to those thinking about subscribing right now. We'll throw it to a quick break while we get into draft for game number 2, but we will see you all on the other side as LNG faces off against Ultra Prime for the second time tonight.